The sterile white walls of the Frontier Medical Station had been Lena Arwood's home for 3 years. She had treated miners with plasma burns, colonists with alien infections, and smugglers with questions she knew better than to ask. But nothing had prepared her for the small, whimpering creature that stumbled through her clinic doors on that fateful night. It was barely the size of a house cat, covered in midnight blue fur that shimmered like starlight. Its eyes were too intelligent for an animal, gleaming with fear and pain. Blood crimson like earth blood matted its fur near the hind leg. The creature collapsed at her feet, trembling. Lena's training kicked in immediately. She scooped up the wounded animal and carried it to the examination table. As she worked, cleaning the wound and preparing antiseptic, she noticed the peculiar anatomy. 4 legs, yes, but the bone structure was wrong. The neural patterns on her scanner showed something impossibly complex for a simple animal. "What are you?" she whispered, injecting a mild sedative. The creature's eyes locked onto hers, and for a moment, Lena could have sworn it understood. She worked through the night, suturing the deep laceration, administering antibiotics, and wrapping the leg in biosynthetic bandages. By dawn, the small, wolf-like being was sleeping peacefully in a recovery kennel. That's when Director Hammond burst through the door. "Arwood!" His face was crimson with rage. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" "Arwood." Lena stood her ground, exhaustion making her bold. "I treated an injured animal. Isn't that what doctors do?" "That's not an animal." Hammond's voice cracked. "That's a Lupari pup. Do you understand? The Lupari are a warrior species. They don't tolerate interference with their kind. They especially don't tolerate humans touching their young." Lena's blood ran cold. She'd heard stories about the Lupari, fierce, territorial, technologically advanced beings who controlled 3 star systems. They had no formal alliance with humanity, only a tense understanding that both species would maintain their distance. "I didn't know," she said quietly. "It was dying." "You've potentially started an interstellar incident," Hammond said, his anger giving way to fear. "I have no choice. You're terminated, effective immediately. Pack your things and take the next transport off station. Maybe if you're gone before they come looking, we can claim ignorance." Up. Lena looked at the sleeping pup, its chest rising and falling peacefully. She had saved a life. How could that be wrong? By noon, she was in her small quarters, throwing belongings into a duffel bag. Her hands shook as reality set in. 3 years of building a life here. Gone, all because she couldn't ignore a suffering creature. A commotion outside made her pause. Voices raised in alarm. The station's alert system chimed. "Incoming vessel. Unscheduled." Lena moved to her window and felt her breath catch. A ship, unlike anything she'd seen, descended toward the docking bay. It was massive, obsidian black, covered in angular armor that seemed to absorb light itself. Lupari military vessel. This was it. They had come. She waited in her quarters, expecting security to drag her to the airlock. Instead, an hour later, there was a polite knock on her door. Director Hammond stood there, pale as a ghost. "They're asking for you." By name. Lena's legs felt weak, but she forced herself to walk. The corridor to the docking bay seemed endless. When the doors opened, she stopped in her tracks. The Lupari delegation filled the space 7 beings, each standing over 7 feet tall, covered in the same shimmering fur as the pup, but in shades of silver and gray. They wore ceremonial armor that hummed with power. At their center stood the largest, his fur marked with battle scars, his eyes an intense amber. Lena Arwood. His voice was deep, resonating in her chest. It wasn't a question. Yes. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "I am Alpha Jorvac, war leader of the Lupari Confederacy." He stepped forward, and Lena forced herself not to retreat. "You treated my son." The words hung in the air. His son, the pup she'd saved, was the child of their highest leader. He was hunting, testing his skills as young males do, Jorvac continued. He wandered too far, encountered a territorial predator. He ran, wounded, and found your door. The Alpha's eyes studied her intensely. He should have died. Instead, he lives because you did not hesitate. Lena found her voice. Any doctor would have done the same. No. Jorvak's response was immediate. Your own director told you to let him die. Your species fears us. Yet you saw only an injured child. And you acted with courage and skill. The Alpha made a gesture. And one of his warriors stepped forward, carrying a case. Jorvak opened it, revealing an ornate medallion, silver and blue, etched with symbols Lena didn't recognize. This is the mark of the pack bond, Jorvak said. It is given only to those who have saved Lupari life, at great personal cost. You are now under the protection of our confederacy. Any who harm you, harm us all. He placed the medallion around her neck. It was warm against her skin. More than this, Jorvak continued, we have need of someone with your skills and your heart. Our people have many young warriors. They need a healer who understands that courage is not the absence of fear, but action despite it. He paused. Come with us. Be our pack's physician. You will want for nothing, and you will save countless lives. Lena looked at Director Hammond, who stood frozen in shock. She thought of her small clinic, her terminated position, the narrow-minded fear that had ruled this station. Then she looked at Alpha Jorvak, at the respect in his eyes, at the opportunity being offered. When do we leave? She asked. The Alpha's expression shifted into what might have been a smile, revealing sharp teeth. Immediately. My son is asking for the gentle healer with kind hands. He wishes to thank you himself. Quote, as Lena walked aboard the Lupari vessel, the medallion heavy and warm against her chest, she realized something profound. She had lost her job for daring to save a life. But in return, she had gained something far greater, a place among the stars, respect from a warrior race, and the knowledge that compassion, not fear, was humanity's greatest strength. The universe, it turned out, had a way of rewarding those who dared to do what was right. Behind her, the medical station grew smaller in the viewport. Ahead, a new life awaited among the wolves of the stars, and Lena Arwood had never felt more certain that she was exactly where she belonged.